Hey guys, this is John from Sonic Drive Studio. Thanks for tuning into this channel again. I recently released a video in which I demonstrate the Fractal Audio X effects and AX8 in multiple styles. This includes tones ranging from pristine cleans to heavy downtuned metal. I've put a link to that video in the description below and I recommend watching that before you view this video. I'll be doing more of these videos for different platforms such as Helix Native, the Kemper, etc. So please subscribe if you want to see more. This fourth episode will focus on the metal tones of the video. Some of the settings of these presets, such as the noise gate and room reverb, have already been discussed in the previous episodes, so I recommend also watching those. For the first little song, I went for a thrashy and aggressive metal tone with plenty of saturated crunch, but also definition. I used my Schecter SLS C1 with passive Seymour Duncan pickups for this one. And I used one of my all-time favorite amp models for heavy metal, which is the DAS Metal amp. This one was loosely based on a diesel VH4. Fractal Audio later also added more accurate models of this amp, but I prefer this one for metal in general. Input drive is set to 5, and the tone stack settings are definitely not very drastic. We're just slightly lowering the bass here and mids to balance everything out. This of course is heavily dependent on the guitar and pickups used. Presence is set to 4.42 and depth is set to 2.75. For the cap tone I used the OwnHammer Bogner Standard with the EVH speaker option. In my opinion, this is one of the best kept IR secrets for heavy metal tones. It has a kind of scooped sound without losing mid-range definition, and the slight comb filtering effect gives this cab a very three-dimensional sound. If you're into metal, check this one out. It sounds quite different than the EVH cab from the EVH speaker in the Heavy Hitters collection too, but I love it. Low cut is set to 77 again, and I've turned up motor drive to about 1. The reverb is set to the same settings as explained in episode 1. In the DAW I'm using Slade's VMR again, with the SSL EQ to dip out a slight bit of muddiness and filtering out the lows at about 115 Hz. After that, I'm using the Waves F6 dynamic EQ again. If you want a more detailed description of these settings, please watch the previous episode. Now let's check out the heavy 7-string baritone track. For this tone, I used my ESP LTD SCT706B, which is the signature guitar from the guitarist of Deftones. This guitar has a huge sound, it has a neck-through body and EMG pickups. For this track I was going for a modern deathcore type sound. I ended up using the USA Lead Bright Plus amp model, which is based on a Mesa Boogie Mark IV. Input drive and overdrive are turned up a bit from the default settings. I'm cutting some bass because this makes these amps sound way tighter. Mids is set to 5.3 and treble is turned up to 7. The treble control not only increases clarity, but even more so adds gain to the sound. The fat and bright switches are enabled, and the presence control is set to 6.18. For this amp, I always like to use the graphical EQ in the amp block, simulating the EQ in the actual Mesa Mark amps. I have this set to a typical but not too extreme metal V. The cab I'm using, again, is one of my favorites and perhaps also an overlooked OwnHammer speaker option. It's the orange 2x12 with the M25 speaker option, which I really love for heavy tones. Low cut is set to 63.3 and motor drive is turned up a bit again. And I'm also using the preamp as explained in the previous episode. And we're also using similar settings in the reverb block as also explained in episode 1. That's it for now. Stay tuned to this channel for more episodes which are coming very soon, and if you haven't already, please hit subscribe and follow us on facebook.com/Sonic Drive Studio. Thanks for watching.